Okay, we will call this regular council meeting to order for July the 10th, and we'll begin by reading the land acknowledgement. So the town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations Métis and Inuit who have lived and cared for these lands for generations, and we are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on. We'll move into the agenda portion, 2.1. Are there any additions or deletions?
Yes, Mayor Barclay. Council to consider in camera 11.3, retail developments, MGA, section 197.2, Freedom of Information Privacy Act, section 17.3, please.
All right, thank you.
Your Worship.
Councillor Heistad.
I was going to ask that I add one more item. It would be, I don't know where you'd want to place this one, Your Worship. It would be FCM, FCM board submissions.
Okay.
Okay.
CEO Becker, where would you like that to go?
Council's call either 4.4 or into roundtable would be my two areas I'd say.
Roundtable's good. Yeah.
Okay, can I please have someone make a motion that we adopt the agenda as amended?
I will make that, Mayor Barclay.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wing, all in favor? All right, carried. We'll move into 4.1 with the Chief Administration Officer's report. Sorry, I forgot the minutes. I'm thinking about something else. I'm going to the minutes.
I'll move the regular council meeting minutes of June 19th.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion around the minutes? No, all in favor? Okay, carried, and then we'll move into the agenda and priorities minutes for July the 4th. Please have somebody make a motion. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you. I so move the minutes be adopted.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And now we will move into 4.1 and the CAO report with CEO Becker.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. Hello, Council. Just to be brief, Council, there's a few items here for your attention. Just wanted to let you know that administration has done some called preliminary work in relation to the Aquatic Center and understanding different models. P3 model, we had some brief conversation with some of our previous stakeholders through the IPD process. Likely we would advance a little bit more research as we move on along with the conversation in relation to the Aquatic Center. But just wanted to get a feel of what that looks like. The last little while, besides being away at professional development at the LGA conference in Canmore, with part of the team, has been meeting with a few businesses, some existing, some inquiring into our community, ranging from industrial to light manufacturing to retail. And then Mayor Barclay will likely communicate to you. There was a business visit recently with West Fine Meats, putting out an offer to council for a future tour if you wish to have a tour with them. And really, that's the report. Council, if there's any questions.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for CEO Becker? If not, please have someone make a motion to accept his report as presented. Councillor Messaros.
Thank you. I'll accept that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move on to council action control.
Mayor and Council, if I could just make comment on the mental health discussion. If you recall, we talked about including this in the community safety well-being plan. So contract has been awarded to Bassaw Social Innovations. Administration will be meeting with them to confirm scope on Thursday. And we'll get Bassaw into you. They're coming to see you on another project, obviously, but have you come to you, but also the committee policing committee in the near future, but just want to confirm scope on Thursday and advance the data collection immediately upon following that meeting. So that project is about to be initiated.
All right, thank you. Councillor Heistad?
Just the public participation for Varma, just curious. This one's ongoing, like are we gonna do anything else in the fall?
If I may, Mayor Barclay to Councillor Heistad, so public participation kind of ongoing, so some of it is the engagements from the political side, which I think that's been communicated back. The administration meets with Varma every other week. We didn't today as council, but to get information, they just submitted to us some information that we can put on our website, but also use to use in some of our more targeted marketing into the community. But definitely as things advance, strongly encourage Varma, but also the town to have more face-to-face time, but nothing planned at this point.
Yeah, I guess I just got one more thing to add. With Varma, I did mention a number of months ago, and I've mentioned it during a roundtable before. I still think it's important that Varma, the work that we are doing as a council, or even having community members being engaged in the project itself, is that there should be an opportunity for us to go to make sure that we're seeing the facilities overseas, and that's where I'm just gonna kind of keep on pushing that one, because I think it's just credible. It helps us as a community, and it's a big project, and so I don't know where that's at, but is that on the radar with some of the discussions, CEO Becker?
As Councillor Heistad, no, there's not been any discussion to view physically these facilities. Only concept, we have the ability to make contact with communities in Europe. We have not advanced that at this point. Focus has been just an awareness on the environmental side, on the emissions. We have the EU emissions standards, and they're well below their submissions. So the work we're doing with Varma is demonstrate the emissions piece from an Alberta perspective. So, but not really answering your question, we have not advanced physical touring of facilities, but certainly welcome to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's important that we do. So I just wanted to bring that up. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and CEO Becker, the HS representative with the ambulance service, I don't know whether Mr. Halsworth and you have connected yet or not, but I'm wondering, considering the improvements that have been made, if that's really necessary anymore, but up to you to whether, yeah, I mean, he certainly gave some stats a couple of weeks ago at our visit with HS in Red Deer, and
At Mayor Barclay, we had made contact to come in, so it's really up to council, but yeah, it's they're willing to come in likely in camera to provide some detail. That's
Sure.
really up to you if you want to do both, but they're encouraging to have perhaps a public presentation, but also move in camera for more definite conversation.
Well, let's do that then, and then people can see the improvements that
Sure.
have happened with time and stuff, so. Do you want to just scroll down a little bit, please, Juanita? Okay, and if anybody doesn't have any more questions, I'll please have someone make a motion that we accept this as information. Councillor Wing?
Yes, Mayor Barclay, I would move that we accept the council resolution action control for information.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then we're going to move to item 4.3. So residency welcome package. So I met last week with Sarah Cummins and Alicia Fox with RPAP, and it was around gifting residents when they come into the clinic here. So right now there's 3 residents currently. There's another one coming this week. They are here anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks, depending on whether they are in year 1 or year 2 of residency. The clinic here is very popular as far as a site for family medicine practitioners to come to, which is good for Innisfail. And so the discussion was around what we could do as an organization to kind of give them a welcoming small gift, letter, etc. So with our new businesses, of course, we send out a certificate and a welcome letter with a lot of information in it, but we kind of talked around, you know, either like a welcoming letter, card, etc., but then maybe a few things from the local community here, such as gift cards from some local businesses, maybe a Town of Innisfail mug. Some of them are living in the community, some are commuting, some commute as far away as Calgary. Some have had to live in hotels here in the community as well. So don't know budget-wise. Sarah thinks probably maximum there'd be 20 residents coming in over a year. So, you know, maybe a little gift package that's, I don't know, $50, $60 sort of thing might be sufficient to welcome them. But, you know, it's really important, I think, that that we try to stand out from others. You know, I asked, like, what are they looking for to become a physician here? What are their biggest items? The first item is the school system, if they were to live here, which none of them do right now. Second item would be family resources, so things like activities and recreation facilities. And the third thing is just being close to a major center, which bodes very well for Innisfail, considering our location along the QE2. I think the reason they don't live here is maybe they like to kind of keep some autonomy and that separation between work and personal life. But I want to put it out to council whether you are interested in us doing something like that. And I know some other communities are very robust when it comes to this kind of thing. But it might be just a nice little thing to do, but it will have a bit of an impact on the budget. If we think of 20 people a year at $50, that's $1,000. So maybe $1,000 to $1,500 is what we might spend in a year. Any comments? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Yes, a couple comments. I fully support that. I think you know, it's a nice gesture for a newcomer. So I fully support, and you know, if it's $1,000 or whatever the motion's going to be. My second comment is, I've been through this before in a previous community a number of years ago when we were trying to recruit physicians from overseas, and we found as a committee, and it was between 2 or 3 municipalities and the county of Lac St. Anne, that we forgot about the spouses. We tended to concentrate everything for the doctor, and you know, a lot of the people or the residents coming in were married, they had young families, and we forgot about the amenities that, you know, a job for their spouse, and they're probably young professional people that need to work. So just the comment is, you know, we'll concentrate on the doctors, but let's not forget about the, you know, the total family. So if you need a motion, I'll certainly.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because Sarah did say that, you know, they are of that age where they do quite often have a spouse and young family. So, but they're not always here with them when they're here for their residency. They, you know, if they come permanently, that's different. But Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, no, I think Councillor Harrison's comments are bang on. You know, you know, you're looking at the dollar figure. I think $100 is probably going to help us, you know, if we're going to do anything that's going to be of value kind of thing to you know, to show off our community. But I think there's an opportunity as well to work maybe with our chamber and getting some of these supplies or the opportunities there. It'd be great for young families or just young doctors to come in. But $100 is, you know, $50 doesn't go far, you know, $100 may be a bit better. Thanks.
Councillor Messaros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I was just going to say something along the same lines, that I wonder what we could buy of any impact or significance for $50 and to consider increasing that.
Yeah, okay. No, but whatever somebody wants. Like, it would be gift cards, and I suggested to them that we buy them as an organization. The town buys it as opposed to going to businesses with our handout. Like, I think it'd be better if we went and bought gift cards from local businesses. I think they do enough in the community already between sponsoring all sorts of things and helping minor sports and everything. So, if somebody would like to make,
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Rebecca.
See you, Rebecca.
I
Yeah.
feel there's a motion
Yeah.
forthcoming. Might be the best way to go is just determine a budget amount, whether it's $1,000, and recommend come from operating reserve, please.
yeah, if somebody would like to make a motion, if it's $100, let's say $2,000 from budget, that would be cover 20 people per year. Of course, this year it wouldn't be that much, but, so I'll ask somebody to make a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I so move that council approves a operating budget for the welcoming committee for residencies in the tune of $1,000.
2,000. $100 times 20 people.
Oh, $2,000?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, $2,000. $2,000.
Okay,
To come from the operating reserve?
yeah. Okay, Councillor Bates?
I just want clarification because I thought I heard from the welcoming committee versus the town in the motion.
Yeah, it would be from the town of Innisfail. So, and CEO Becker, like, is that okay with you, that somebody on your staff can coordinate that with Sarah at the clinic? And
Yeah, I was trying to get the logistics,
Yeah.
likely from you, Mayor
yeah,
Barclay.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're okay, Councillor Bates, with the friendly amendment?
If the amendment is that it's from the town.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so any further questions about that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. And we will move into 5.1 with Director Kennedy and the Southwest Industrial Park shallow utilities.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. So, yeah, I'm in front of you, recommendation to award the construction contract for the shallow utility servicing for the Southwest Industrial Park. So we did close the tender on June 15th, where we did get 4 contractors submitting bids. The bids ranged from $970,000 to $1.24 million. Tagish did complete a tender evaluation where they did not see any unbalanced items in comparing to all the bids. Their recommendation was to award, or is to award, to the Davison Power Line Company. Total project cost with engineering and adding a 10% contingency would be $1.159 million, $362.83. One item to note, that the bid the construction cost did come over our estimated value of $770,000. This is mainly due to the upgrade in the power cabling that was recommended by Fortis to accommodate larger power consumption unit users. Previous contracts for the underground servicing and the surface works both came under our estimated values by just over $518,000. So this additional offset or cost can be offsetted within our budget. The contractor has indicated that he'd be able to begin the work in early October, with the majority of the work to be completed this year. But they have identified that there's a potential material shortage for the streetlights, so that might get carried over until 2024, which shouldn't impact the subdivision itself. The project will be funded from the Land Acquisition and Servicing Reserve. Once the industrial park borrowing option is finalized, the funds would then be transferred back to that reserve, replacing the value. So it is our recommendation to award the contract to Davison Power Line. Thanks.
Right, thank you. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Bates?
I will move the recommended motion approving the award of the Southwest Industrial Park shallow utility servicing contract to Davison Power Line for $970,790.75 to be funded from the Land Acquisition Servicing Reserve.
All right,
And I do
thank
have
you.
a question.
And carry on with your question.
A couple questions. So the shallow utility servicing, in spite of the name Davidson Power Line, how many different services are included in that?
Yep, so it includes all the conduit work for all the shallow utilities, so the TELUS, accommodates TELUS, Fortis, conduit crossings for ATCO, for the gas crossings. It does not include the actual servicing by those utility companies, but it includes all the conduit work so that it doesn't get disrupted, so.
And then my other question, if it's available, is that's a healthy chunk of money from that reserve. Do we know the status of the reserve after that funding is secured?
I'll let you go.
Sure, right now there is a low balance in that reserve because we are waiting, we'll be pulling back 2.7 million back into that reserve before the end of the year to come from the loan, including this. This will just be paid upfront by this reserve and will be replaced immediately. It should actually, we should receive the money before we even have to pay for this, so.
Okay, so the reserve will be funded by the loan.
At the end of the day, it will come from the loan, but it will first be paid from the land acquisition reserve.
Okay, thank you.
Director Kennedy, can you explain the difference, like you're doing this, upgrading the power, like what is in the old industrial park or the existing industrial park and the difference between that and what will be in the new park?
Yeah, so I guess there's two ways to look at it. So originally when we designed the subdivision, we used standard industrial servicing, and that's what the existing park would have. In conversations with Fortis, the trend in the industry is becoming more need of higher power consumption for certain users. So, and even some of the interest that we've had in the subdivision was for higher consumption users. So we thought it would be proactive for us to be able to offer this in the subdivision to have a higher consumption available. Just as a proactive way of kind of encouraging lot sales.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Please, all in favor? All right, carried. And we will move into 6.1, RFD for video recording of meetings policy with Director Vickers.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Okay, so in response to the pandemic in March 2020, the province of Alberta enacted the Public Meeting Procedure COVID-19 Suppression Regulation to provide for meetings under the Municipal Government Act to be held in a manner to avoid exposing other persons to COVID-19. Once this was passed, Innisfil started participating in Zoom meetings as well as eventual live streaming of council meetings. After the town opened our council meetings back open to the public, we did continue to offer a live stream version of our council meetings. While live streaming, we did run into some technical issues that did interrupt some service for a while. We currently don't have any internal dedicated IT support or an audio-visual support person. IT resources and time don't allow us to resolve issues that arise immediately before the stream begins. Our current communications coordinator has been a great asset. However, this is not a part of his duties or even his training. Live streams are heavily dependent upon systems outside our building and control. For example, the internet, Shaw, TELUS. When an issue falls to one of these outside issues, there's little that the town can do to resolve it or even identify what the problem is. The video recording process the town currently uses has the ability to post the recordings once the meeting is over with little staff time or cost. Our method of recording provides us with two different options for accessing the recordings after the meeting in the event that one does eventually fail. We have researched the total number of views for each council meeting for 2023 and have listed them below. The average number of views for each meeting is 10. The videos are posted on YouTube, and these numbers are total views to date. So that could definitely mean that someone watched it the next day or even last night, right? And which the public or staff can view these videos. We've received no complaints since we have moved away from live streaming. So you can see there, those are the dates. There's a couple, 3 that were really high, so we did just identify that. So on January 9th, that was the Fortis franchise fee meeting. Then we had the Urban Hens, and then the Energy Hub work plan. And those could simply be staff rewatching those meetings over again to get motions correctly or get your intent, things like that. The attached policy has now been created by administration to provide guidelines for the management of video recordings of council meetings. This policy outlines what the implications are for recording or not recording, signage, camera position, authority, and timelines of retention for the video recordings. It is important to note that the council meeting minutes are the official record of the meetings, and public meetings will not be delayed, canceled, or postponed because of technical issues related to the video recording of meetings. So I'll take any questions, if council has any.
Okay, so this is for video recordings. So are we doing live sometime again, or is that not possible with?
Well, this policy is the request to continue to do video recordings only and post them the next day.
Okay, so we wouldn't go back to live.
That is correct, yes. Unless council, this is your,
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'm just curious, like, other councils do live, and I'm curious, like, are we still having issues with the equipment and it doesn't
We
seem
s-
to?
Mayor Barclay, when we did stop for a while, we had a very good run of no issues. However, we have seen the odd one come up this year. But so I guess it's up to you guys, we could turn it on, but we would want this policy to identify that we're not gonna postpone it. If it doesn't work, we would continue with our council meetings as is.
Okay, no, that makes sense for sure. Okay. Any questions for Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Just a couple. On the video recording for the next day, is the quality of the video good, okay, excellent? Because I've heard, you know, the sound issues and all of that, or is that all tied into the overall?
Mayor Barclay through to Councillor Harrison. So the video quality in the recording is the same as the video quality that was in the live stream. It comes from that same camera, so right there.
Okay.
It's not the clearest of picture, just due to the nature. It is
Yeah.
a static camera. It has to just, it takes one broad look of yourselves.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is around, you'd mentioned we rely on outside suppliers such as Shaw, Telus. Have we met with Shaw? I don't know who provides our internet, but if it's Shaw, have we met with them and said, look, we've got an issue here in Chambers and we can deal with that, it's a camera, but once it goes outside, it's you. So have we had those discussions?
Councillor Harrison, not specifically to that extent. However, there is only so much internet that we have in Innisfil. And if all of a sudden at 4 o'clock, all the kids come home from school and everyone's streaming their games and streaming some sort of TV, that really impacts the speed of internet we have totally in Innisfil, and then that can impact our stream.
So bigger picture then, it impacts the community of Innisfil, the speed and amount of bandwidth. So have we had those discussions with Telus or Shaw?
I have not.
Because, we're talking about industry coming into an industrial area, and everything's done now on the internet. And if we're restricted, it's a marketing thing, right? So just a comment. Thank you.
Councillor Harrison or Heistad?
Hi. Is this, I know that we had changed this a number of months ago. So when do we put the video up? Is it in the evening or is it just in the morning? I couldn't remember what you had stated.
If I may confer to our communications
Ken,
coordinator,
yeah.
he would know when they get posted.
Thanks.
So, Mayor Barclay through to Councillor Heistad. So essentially what we do right now is we do a live stream and it gets recorded.
Yeah.
So as soon as this meeting ends today, I will go to my office, click a button, and it goes live. And it's worked like that for the last, I'd say consistently for about 4 months. So it's usually posted within a few minutes of the meeting ending.
And no complaints whatsoever of the video?
We've had no
whatnot?
comments
Okay.
either way, so.
Nope. Thanks.
Okay, I will have somebody make the recommended motion, please. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I would move that council approves video recording of council meetings policy 2023-004.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And I just want to go back to it for a second to what Councillor Harrison was saying around the the internet and the broadband capability, and I know we've talked before about having some discussions with TELUS, so I would like to make a motion, or you can, Councillor Harrison, that we direct administration to have a discussion with TELUS and understand more about what we have here in Innisfail, and if there are upgrades. I think we were one of the first communities to have optic a few years ago, and like we were ahead of Red Deer and everything, so I don't know where we are as far as being on par with other municipalities right now, so I will leave that in your hands, CEO Becker. Okay, so Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'd so move that we direct administration to have ongoing discussions with our internet providers on bandwidth and that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. Okay, and we will go into correspondence and information. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, just a comment. The third item, the invite from the Regional Water Service Commission to a golf tournament. It's not really a golf tournament. It's a kind of a it's more of a social get together to, and I would encourage anybody that might have the time to do it. It's like 2.5 hours, and there's no golf skills whatsoever required, because the only rule they have is there is no rules. They go out and whack around for a couple hours, and then they have dinner, and any prizes that are awarded are, you're given a number when you get there, and so you've won before you start. But in the past, I've seen, I don't know, 2 and 3 representatives from communities, anybody that's on the water, Crossfield, Carstairs, Didsbury, and even some of the staff end up there and just interacting. It's good. So I just kind of give it a little endorsement if somebody has time.
So are you playing?
I'll probably go.
Okay. Okay.
But again, I don't even consider playing golf. It's just out there.
Yep.
Interacting with other communities and the commission.
Okay, perfect. But we will have representation there, so that's good. Okay, thank you.
I think Stephen's been there, I'm not
Okay.
sure, but I'd encourage others if they want to.
Okay, thank you. No pressure. I like the no pressure part. So if anybody there's no further questions, I'll have somebody please make a motion to accept the correspondence as information. Councillor Messaros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. We will move into council reports, and today we're starting with Councillor Heistad.
May I interrupt for just a second?
course.
Sorry, Councillor Heistad. Just in the interest of transparency, I also had in my roundtable discussion today an item about FCM. So I don't know if that'll turn into a bigger discussion. I just wanted to put that on the table before we start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it's, as to the FCM, I know that there was an email that came out a couple weeks ago. I think it came through Juanita and to council as to applying for board positions or committee selection for the FCM committees. And I know that at one point, I think it was the previous year, I was on the council resolution action control about applying or looking at applying to these committees. And I know that Councillor Messaros and Councillor Wing went to FCM in Toronto and had a brief discussion about FCM with them. But I think it's an opportunity. I know there's another week. I think it's just close to a week where you can apply to committees. And I think it's an option that we should consider as a council, as having a few of us or maybe one person that may want to apply for a committee. I think they're valid, and I think it's good work that we do. I look at Mayor Mike Yarjo, who's heavily involved at the board level, and does a great job. And I know there's opportunities through some of the funds to for Innisfil and Central Alberta to tap into them as well. So I just wanted to bring that forward. Is that if we could bring it forward to the next meeting to consider a resolution for those who may consider applying for committee selection. That was a lot. But yeah, there was some history there.
Okay, and just to be open, Councillor Messaros did contact me today about FCM because it is, I think, next week, the cutoffs, and this is our last council meeting, so we need a resolution today to go. So I had asked her to put together a bit of a budget because we'd asked for that before, so we kind of understand that the cost and everything. So anyway, we'll go around the table and
That'd be good.
and or I guess you're next, Councillor Messaros, on the list. Are you done?
No, I just got
Okay.
one more thing that I do want to mention. I know that we have our retreat coming up August 30th, and I do have a conflict with that date. So if I don't mind, not taking up time during the roundtable, I would like to discuss it with you guys afterwards. And that's all I've got. So,
Okay.
thanks.
All right. Thank you. Okay, and then Councillor Messaros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay, and yeah, thank you for starting the conversation. Councillor Heistad? The dates are correct. They prefer that someone applies today if possible, but we have until the 17th to apply. A letter of resolution can be forthcoming, so we can apply and submit that letter after, so would be better to submit it at the same time. I did put a bit of a budget together. It was kind of hard to figure out all the meetings that committee members would have to attend. So I can check into that to confirm, but based on the amount of meeting time, travel time, hotel expenses, flights, per diem and kilometers, I'm estimating about a $15,000 cost for one person to be on a committee. I am interested in applying for, I've got a few committees picked out that I would be interested in serving on. The one that I'm most interested in, and I feel I've got expertise and interest in, is the anti-racism, equity, and inclusion. There are a number of other ones, and if council has other ideas in terms of where you think there might be different gaps, then I'm open to that as well. But I agree with Councillor Heistad. I think, and I know Councillor Wing and I discussed it as well. I think it's very important that someone put an application forward.
Okay. Do you have more?
Oh,
Councillor
yeah,
Messaros?
I do, thanks. So, I attended MLA Dreshen's event yesterday at the Calgary Stampede. That was a great event. Going to Olds College tomorrow, and the launch kickoff of the Legion mural. We'll step by there tonight too. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get back to the FCM, okay? We'll go to
Sure.
the round table first. Councillor Harrison?
Quiet week. Didn't do too much. I just want to say that upcoming on July 20th, I have RD Mug, and we are taking a joint meeting with the Red Deer River Watershed Alliance. We have finally been able to organize a sit-down to talk about common interests and how we go forward on the Red Deer River. So we're going to take a tour of the plant in Red Deer, and then in the afternoon meet with the representatives from the alliance to see how we can go forward, because they are the official advocacy group with the government. So we need them at the table. We have a lot of concerns from RD Mug, but we're just a small group. We're just a group. So that's going to happen on the 20th. I think that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. So I had a bit of a quiet week last week. We went camping for a few days. We were leaving right after the A&P last Tuesday. So I also attended Minister Dreshen's Stampede reception yesterday. I think it's a great, those kinds of events are great networking opportunities. Had a good conversation with Garrett Couples, who's the chair of the Red Deer Airport Authority, who might be a good contact for us and may potentially a good visit out to the airport in the future. Tracy Kinsella from the Sports Hall of Fame. Interesting timing, they've had a change of ministry, so for the first time ever, Alberta actually has a ministry devoted to sport, and so the Sports Hall of Fame has been switched from culture to sport, which is an interesting place for them to be. And also Robert Syke, who's the CEO of AgVisor Pro. He's a Central Alberta ag innovator, highly involved with Olds College and potentially a future participant at the Chamber Trade Show. So again, just a great opportunity to be seeing some folks that you just maybe don't bump into all the time. This week, yes, the Legion mural launches tonight. We are going on the Olds College tour this week, and the monthly Chamber Board meeting is on Wednesday.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Bates.
I think it was a quiet week for most of us last week, and I didn't really have anything. So my son Mark arrives from Singapore tomorrow, and I do intend to go to the Mountain View Water Commission on Wednesday morning, because I'm sure my son will be asleep. I won't be at virtually anything through the 21st. Yeah, the A&P on the 17th will be the first one of those I've ever missed. And I believe MPC, I was in contact with Allison, and I think they have a quorum, but if our alternate, who I believe is Councillor Heistad, is available, you probably could attend that if it goes ahead. Yeah, I guess one other little thing, it isn't connected in a way, but it is just on an information item. None of us were able to make the Historical Village meeting last week, but I do golf with one of the principal board members, and we've heard in the past that they have potential further partnerships with Field and Forage, and I guess the one is kind of on the rails for recognizing a major anniversary of Prohibition and connecting to the village. So they're very excited about it, as they should be, because it could be a really interesting partnership, and that would occur sometime in September. That's all.
Okay, so I think I mentioned last Tuesday that I'd been on a Microsoft Teams meeting with Public Safety Canada, and that was around contract policing. They're gathering feedback from municipalities across Canada, and we'll issue a report in the fall. So probably the top items on feedback were the cost of service and the escalating salaries for RCMP. They also want to see improved planning to assist us with municipal budgeting. Also paying for members in the detachment, even though there are open positions. For example, somebody may be paying for 8 positions, but they only have 6 filled. I spoke with CEO Becker. We seem to be really good here, and we don't see that happening here, which is good. There's also a little bit of discussion around equitable funding for RCMP, so base it on population as opposed to lumping rural municipalities in with communities under 5,000. And there was quite a lot of comments to that. So we'll look forward to the fall when that report comes out from gathering the information from all across the country. Then had a business visit to West Vine Meats last week. Of course, that's the former SunGold. Well, I'm so old, it was former Lamco plant back in the day. The parent company is actually Preval out of Quebec. They are a company, they have due excess of $600 million in sales. They're also majority of owners of several other companies. And there's approximately 85 employees at the Innisfil location, and they're planning on expansion in the next 1.5 to 2 years. So they certainly would like us to go for a council visit to the facility, and we can set that up through Juanita as we move forward here. Then I already mentioned the meeting with Sarah Cummings and Alicia Fox, and Tenant Minister Dreeshen's Hootenanny in Calgary yesterday, and of course it was a packed house. I don't know, it was probably 500 or 600 people there. So great opportunity to network, and it was great to see some local residents and business owners there as well. And tomorrow, the Olds College tour, I think we'll leave around 12:45 from the town office. We can meet out here, and then I think we'll have a couple of vehicles going to that. So looking forward to that tomorrow. Who is all going to that? Councillor Harrison, are you going to Wiltz College tomorrow? Yes, okay. So, and then you and a couple of your staff. Yeah, perfect. Okay, sounds good. All right, and we will have a motion to, lost my agenda. Upcoming events, please. What's that? Oh, the FCM, yes, sorry. So let's talk about FCM. So what do we want to do? Councillor Harrison.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Barclay. Just a couple of questions through to Councillor Messaros and Councillor Heistad. What are the committees? You had mentioned, Councillor Messaros, that there's more than one committee that you're quite interested in. One, of course, jumps to the top. And I know Councillor Heistad's interested. So if you could give us an idea of what the committees are, and this budget would be 15,000 per committee, is that, we need a little more information, I guess.
Sure, Mayor Barclay through to Councillor Harrison. So first question is about the other committee titles or committee subject areas. So the other ones that I chose were community safety and well-being, mental health, substance use and addictions, environmental stewardship, women's participation in local government, reconciliation and Indigenous priorities, political and policy engagement, and Indigenous communities, organizations, and leaders. There are other committees that have to do with the fiscal framework, climate change mitigation, and some other topics like that. So what I could gather from the website is that all of the committees seem to meet at the same time, and all committee members are expected to attend 4 board meetings per year. And so if I understand your question correctly, let's say if I were to serve on 2 committees, I don't think the cost would go up. But if 2 of us were to serve on a committee each, then that cost would be doubled. Yeah.
Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, and the reason why I brought this forward, I know last year I was interested in putting my name forward, and we didn't move forward with it as a council. I know that when Councillor Wing and Councillor Messaros came back, they spoke highly of the FCM programs and everything that goes on, and that's why I'm bringing this up again, because I think it's very valuable that we're involved, and I think that what comes back to us is there is a cost. It could be potentially $15,000 or $30,000 per individual, but what I want to state to the council is that doesn't mean that if anybody does apply, doesn't mean that you're going to get on the committee. And that's the big thing that I want to bring up. And as to, if there's other people that are interested, I do sit on a Alberta Municipalities Committee that I'm really good with, just sitting on one committee and allowing my colleagues apply and having a good shot at sitting on a committee level. That's how I'm looking at it right now on a personal level, and that's why I was bringing it up again, because I think it's valuable.
So Councillor Heistad, you're on Alberta Municipalities?
Yeah, I'm on the investment committee.
Okay, so...
There's no cost to council.
Yeah, no, I know that, yeah. So are you saying then you would stay on that committee and Councillor Messaros would apply for FCM, or how do you see this working?
I'm seeing that if rock, paper, scissors today, Johnny can take a picture. No, what I'm seeing is it's an opportunity for 1 or 2 or 3 of us that if there's interest to apply. But I'm totally good with Cindy applying and supporting her with that opportunity.
Okay, so I'm still a bit confused. So are you saying that we're going to have one person apply, like make a resolution that one person applies?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you're not...
I'm good. Stand down.
You're good? Okay. Okay.
I stand down.
Okay. Councillor Harrison.
Just a comment. Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Yeah, I fully support council participation in these committees because I think we've got more of an influence when we get to the big table. So I fully support. I just needed a little more clarification on how they're structured because it just comes out on a website. And I'm certainly not interested at this point in time with what's going on with me, but I fully support Councillor Messaros, and I fully support Councillor Heistad if he wishes to sit on a committee that strikes him. So it was more, how do we word the motion so that all-inclusive? Thank you.
Councillor Bates.
So I personally wouldn't be interested, and so that makes that part easy. I'm willing to support putting a toe in the water, but I'm not willing to support two at this point, and you know, two $15,000 efforts. And it seems like we're always doing these things where we have to decide now. It would be nice to look at the different committees and say, what are our priorities as a council, rather than just that one. That's just an opinion. I'd like to see what the priorities would be of everyone. And I don't think we should ever use the "you might not get selected" as a reason for approving it, because it's $15,000. And as we go forth and do borrow money, we're going to have to start really watching some of the expenditures. That's probably the taxes of, once you take the education out, 6 or more of our larger residences in Innisfail. So we can't just be saying these things they're not free. Is it a good assumption that if somebody does this, that this would include their professional development allowance? I guess that's a rhetorical question. And yeah, those are my thoughts. I'd be willing to support it, but I'd sure like to see it in them. And I realize there's no time. That's a problem.
Councillor Messaros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I think those are fair points, and maybe we could take a minute now to go through all of the committees that are available and see if we do have a priority, and if any of those priorities match what my interests are or anybody else's interests.
Sure, I'm fine with that. Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, no, and I'm willing to take a pass on the FCM. I did apply for, it's called the Green Municipal Fund, which is a committee that you can, from various background, you can apply. And I didn't get on to the Green Municipal Fund, but it was no cost to the community itself. But I see that these are opportunities that, this is why I brought it up the year before, is we got to start having these conversations, because I look at leaders like Mike Yarjo and other leaders like, is it Tanine Ruddock out of Vegreville, who was the FCM president. There's a lot of clout that goes on, and a lot of opportunities with funding and dollars that come to small communities and large centers because of FCM. And so I'm willing to make a pass. I think that as to our professional development and all that, I think it's important to have these opportunities. And this has been on the table a year ago. So I just want to be pretty upfront that, guys, we've had this discussion and we really haven't nailed it out of the park yet. I don't see that we have.
And in fairness, we were awaiting budget numbers to come back.
But
when it was brought up before, so we didn't know what the cost was, and we never did get there. And it was brought up, I think, again in late fall, winter, and then you went and did something else, which was great. And now we're back again.
Oh, yeah,
and now
I did that. That was the experience. Yeah.
A good experience. Now we're at a deadline, though. So, Councillor Messaros, do you just want to tell us what the committees are? And
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Barclay. So, anti-racism, equity, and inclusion work in municipalities. Community safety and well-being, including RCMP. addressing mental health, substance use, and addictions. Developing a new growth (brackets fiscal) framework for Canadian municipalities. Addressing homelessness and affordable housing. Public transit, rural and intercommunity bus services, urban public transit. Municipal infrastructure, including water infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, and community culture and recreation facilities. Linkages between federal housing, infrastructure, and transit policy. Climate change, reducing GHG emissions and achieve 2030 and 2050 climate targets. Climate change, climate adaptation, disaster mitigation, and climate resilient infrastructure. Environmental stewardship, conservation, natural infrastructure, and land-based solutions to tackling climate change. Women's participation in local government. Issues specifically impacting Canada's northern infrastructure, housing, climate adaptation, mitigation, and broadband. Last three. Issues specific to rural municipalities, broadband, housing, infrastructure, intercommunity transportation. Advancing reconciliation and Indigenous priorities in your municipality. And finally, political and policy engagement with Indigenous communities, organizations, and leaders. And there's a spot here for other.
Okay. Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, get your own committee.
Yeah.
Have an Alberta committee meet here. So as you went through that, Councillor Messaros, I think things that popped up for me were the community health and well-being, safety and well-being, because the police, our committee is working on that, and you know that's been a priority for our administration team as well, and moving forward with doing a plan on that. And then I was just kind of scribbling because I couldn't write fast enough, but and then the environment, so the natural-based solutions, I think that was like one of the last 4 or 5 that you read off. And then infrastructure, water and recreation and all that. And I kind of click into that because of aquatic centers. So that would be my top 3 pick for somebody representing us at FCM, but Councillor Bates.
So the 3 that I tried to write a bunch of them down, but some of them I didn't because I couldn't keep up, but I tried to hit the ones I thought were important in no particular order. Were the infrastructure, including recreation, and some of those same thoughts that if there ever is a connection that we could get some help. The rural issues that included, again, I'm not sure what order, included broadband, housing, and transportation, intercommunity transportation, I thought I heard, and the safety and well-being. Those were the 3 that
I'm curious, Councillor Bates, or if anybody knows, maybe CEO Becker, you know, like rural, like what do they define as rural? So I don't want somebody going and then the rural doesn't really apply to a community like Innisfail because we're not considered rural.
Mayor Barclay, I think I think it's, yeah, we are considered rural. I think there's a high population, like it's almost city-like that are also considered rural, but I'm not sure what the definition is offhand.
Just when it talks about broadband, right? I mean, most urbans would have good broadband, but, okay, anybody else want to chime in? Councillor Messaros?
Well, community safety and well-being was on my list, environmental stewardship was on my list, and I could be convinced to be interested in the infrastructure, including rec facilities. But none of you picked my top pick.
Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, no, I trust your judgment. Like if you're, you know, you go with your gut and what you feel is gonna help our community as well as you as a councillor. That's how I look at this opportunity. I trust your judgment on that. But infrastructure is fun stuff, right? Party all the time.
Anybody else? Councillor Harrison?
No, I just like move to the motion. I'd like to make the motion that we support Councillor Messaros in her bid to the tune of $15,000 total for FCM committees. We don't know where you're going to end up. Hopefully you don't get them all. You're going to have to make a choice. But I've clouded the motion. I'll go back and I so move that we support to the tune of $15,000 Councillor Messaros in her bid for the committees as outlined by FCM. Is that
Okay.
captured? Oh,
Yeah, I think that's good. So when you apply, do you apply for a bunch and hope you get one? Is that how it works?
It looks like you can. They ask you if you've got any experience.
Okay,
Experience and interest, basically.
okay, all right, yeah.
Well, yeah, it looks like you go through all of them. Because it's even not interested.
Right.
So there's a menu, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask for clarity on one comment, please? And the comment was made earlier as well. Did we, in our budget process, actually establish a PD allocation per counselor? And did we define what would be funded through that? So if we have a committee member on FCM, does that then mean that they don't get to go to the Alberta Municipalities Conference, or do we consider those conferences professional
No,
development?
the $2,000 was outside of Alberta municipalities and FCM conferences. So, yeah. Yeah, so like Councillor Dunham and I went to the Economic Developers Conference this last year, and that was through our $2,000 in extra funding. Okay, so we have a motion to support Councillor Messaros in her multiple applications. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. So do we just want to leave it with Councillor Messaros to decide what to apply for, or do you want to have some discussion with CAO Becker to maybe get some insight into? Because I think it'd be really good to kind of mesh with what we're doing with your interest. And I don't want to kibosh your top pick or anything, but I just, there's some really important things taking place here, and I think that would be great to have that meshed, synchronized somewhat. Councillor Bates?
Well, let's make sure we're done with that, but there was another thing that came up there that I just want to, are we done? So when I heard the discussion of professional development, when we do the survey for the compensation, let's make sure we ask those other communities that are doing it because I know from the Water Commission, there's some of them that is their, like if they choose to go to AM, that's their professional development. So we just need to ask as we do the surveys to make sure we're comparing apples and apples. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very different. Actually, I think several do that. They get so much per year, you can go to whatever you want. I know Sylvan Lake, they have $10,000 for professional development for the mayor, and I think $3,200 per councillor. So anyway, you guys will do the research and bring it back to us whenever. So, okay, so we will move into upcoming events. And then we'll have somebody make a motion that we accept the upcoming events. Just one thing, Juanita, we have August 18th is the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission meeting. It's my fault, I didn't get that to you, but for another time. Councillor Heistad.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. Then we'll have a motion to go in camera, please.
I'll make that motion. Sorry, I
That's
jumped in the
okay.
gun. I got to the bathroom.
Okay. All in favor?